Cardano's ADA has been absolutely flying, smashing through a lot of my targeted ranges where I thought we might start to see a bit of a cooling off. But the FOMO is strong and we have just soared on through. In today's video, I'm going to be updating you guys on all the latest structures on what I think is going on with the price action and my next set of targets for ADA. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash the like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, and let's take a look at what's going on with Cardano. So here we have ADA paired up with USDT on the 1 hour Binance chart to start with. I'm recording this at 600 hours UTC, so it's about 3 hours before I actually put the video out. That's because I need to allow for time for editing, uploading, and all that kind of usual stuff. So some of the stuff that I will talk about on the 1 hour time frame may play out by the time this video goes live, but I don't think it will. I think we've got a bit of time here. So let's go into this in a bit more detail, right? So Cardano's been absolutely skyrocketing to the upside, and we were tracking this as a wave 3, looking for a wave 4 to kind of finish off and then kind of continue this kind of move. But we're getting what is known as overextensions. Now, overextensions are basically full-fledged 5-wave movements inside what would normally be a relatively small 5-wave move. Okay, so you see this continuation, this kind of stepping up, and it continues to grow. And this is a testament to the amount of FOMO activity that is going on with Cardano. Of course, there was a lot of opportunity, as I've spoken about and probably will talk about on the daily chart, to have accumulated ADA at significantly lower prices. But as of the point of recording, we're at $1.09. Okay, and this is an area that I was actually thinking of reversals, right, which was between 92 and $1.07. Okay, but we actually pushed up significantly higher, right? We saw this push to the upside where we topped out at a high of $1.15.42. So the break of this is quite important because breaking this level essentially tells us that we are not in a kind of small 5-wave movement. Instead, we're in a much, much bigger one. So let me go ahead and show you some of this detail on this 1 hour time frame here, right? So if I zoom in here, you can see a lot of really impulsive moves, corrections coming down, big impulsions back to the upside. Okay, and again, it's very similar over here. You have the 5 waves coming down, you have this, you have the wave 4, and then you get into this really big wave 5. Now, for that, I think we're going to have to adjust our structures ever so slightly to kind of take into consideration a lot of the stuff that's going on. So let's go ahead and work from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're starting there because it's a really simple one to see. Over this side as well, you have 1, 2, you have another one here. Again, you're pushing up in these kind of 5-wave movements. So you can still see that these extensions are really quite impressive. Okay, so let me go and show you 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So you have this kind of 5-wave move here, but you also have this 5-wave move here with an extension in that 5th as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, and all of this is of course coming from this correction over here, and of course we have this one this side as well, which if we start drawing all of this in, you can see here as well how this kind of ramps up as well. So we'll draw that in as well for the purpose of the video. 1, 2, and I do think that this is actually a very interesting structure because it doesn't map very nicely for what you would expect to see, but I would say that it would be that I would be looking for. Internally there you have your 5-wave move, and in here you have what actually is a bit of a strange structure, so it might be more slightly different there, but it doesn't really matter overall. For the most part, you can see, if we just kind of zoom out, all of these 5-wave movements. Now, this is the issue, because when we start kind of nesting these together like this, it does put us into a bit of a problem. Okay, so in here, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you have this one, and then you have this 5-wave move. It basically means that you continue this push to the upside, right? Okay, you might think, zigzag patterns, but they're not zigzag patterns because of how they are exceeding 1.618. So that's kind of what the importance was up here. We exceeded 1.618. As soon as we crossed over $1.07.32, essentially we actually crossed 1.618, which meant that we are not in a zigzag pattern. We're not in an ending 5-wave structure. So very interesting for the most part. So again, we continue here. And I don't think we're finished yet because, again, we can see 1, 2, 3, down for 4. We've got another 5th wave move. Okay, and all of that's a part of this structure over this side as well. So Cardano is going very strongly here. Okay, and again, if I measure this distance right here, okay, and we pull this one to our low this side, you can see here that 1.618 would happen at 134. Okay, so now I'm thinking to myself, well, we've got a high probability here that we continue this up to 134.5. Okay, and then we end up with that kind of structure. Now, there's no guarantees because it's possible that this overextension does eventually finish, right? It doesn't go on forever. It can't go on forever. At some point, it is going to reverse on us. But at the moment, we could potentially be looking for a big, big push to the upside, much bigger than maybe we were kind of initially kind of thinking. Now, it's possible that's also down there as well, to be fair. But so as you can kind of see, we're in a very, very, very impulsive move for 𝗕𝗓, right? And it doesn't show many signs of wanting to cool off. There's going to be some mini corrections in here, of course, as you can kind of see on there. You're going to see some mini corrections for sure. But they are not going to be massive. Now, taking a look at our histogram, it still continues to grow, right? So our MACD histogram here is showing significant strength and bullish momentum into 𝗕𝗓, right? We can see that right inside here. There was some bearish divergence, some concerns that I had around the support levels of our 50 EMAs, 50 SMAs. Okay, so here you have higher lows, but we had lower lows on that histogram. Fortunately, that divergence didn't actually amount to anything, not unless, of course, we continue to grow this. If we continue to grow this, then we've got bigger concerns of big corrections, but I don't see that happening just yet. So interesting on the MACD front. Now, from a stochastic RSI, we've reset to an oversold area on the hourly chart, so we will be looking for a continuation of the push to the upside. And again, everything on the slightly higher time frames is overbought. So we're overbought on the weekly, daily, 8-hour, 4-hour. Okay, so they are overheating. There is a correction coming. It's just not happening yet. Not until these overextensions finish. Until we finish all those 5-wave movements, there is still, unfortunately, this FOMO that is just driving 𝗕𝗓 forward. Okay, so we need to see those finish if we want to be thinking about a calling off in the market. Where do we see that? Well, as time progresses, that correction is getting higher and higher and higher, as in it's not going to be, 40 cents. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Now, the relative strength index, the divergence indicator here that I have, is also showing still more bullish momentum to the upside. No sign of wanting to really slow down, but it is overbought, so we want to bear in mind on that as well. Volume profiles, still looking okay. Zoom out of this, you can see the volume, what they were like to where they are today. Volume profiles are nice. Their volumes are growing as we continue to rise here, so we're not concerned about that. As we have the corrections, selling pressure eases. There isn't a lot of selling pressure, so it's looking pretty healthy in my opinion. Okay, let's roll this up into a daily time frame, right? So knowing all of that is great, but where are we actually heading? Well, as you know, guys, we had been plotting out a wave 2 accumulation down here. Anything lower than 42.24 cents is exactly what we wanted to see. Okay, that's exactly where we wanted to buy, and we had plenty of opportunity, right? Basically, price first came down to this range on the 13th of April, down over here. Okay, and it's spent a reasonable amount of time ever since June 2024, where you could have been buying 𝗕𝗓. You could have been buying 𝗕𝗓 all the way down in the kind of 5th of August lows, right? Where we were down at 27 cents, right down at the bottom here. You could have been buying there. But, you're not trying to time the bottom. Anywhere lower than 42.24, as I've been saying for months, would have been the ideal place to be dollar cost averaging and buying. And well, here you are. Let's hypothetically say you did manage to buy that 27-cent low. Well, you've seen so far, if I can snap this on, 318% move to the upside. Very, very nice and very, very lucrative. Now, all of this is a part of a much bigger play, of course, because we are thinking and have been talking about how history is repeating itself, right? We had the wave 1, we've had the wave 2, and then we're looking at that kind of big explosive move to the upside. This is what happened previously, right? So when we scoped out the wave 1 and we had the wave 2 accumulation back here in 2023, what were we looking at? 23.46 cents to 28.87 cents. Okay, that was the accumulation range, a reaccumulation. And then from there, we got this explosive move to the upside, right? And you can see that although price did come back down this low, there's no guarantee that it does. We had this wave 3 right up here, okay? And then we had the wave 4 calling off. It is the wave 4 that is the opportunity now, okay? For people who don't really care about the price now, if they've got long-term visions, sure. FOMOing into 𝗕𝗓 above $1, it still is relatively cheap because you're going to see Cardano go to somewhere between $5 and $12 in my opinion. So it's still relatively cheap to that, depending on your long-term goals. However, a 35% correction is what we saw previously. We normally would expect 38.2% of the wave 3. And this is important. So when we start thinking about our structure here, well, we're in a big wave 3 now, right? The next opportunity to really kind of take advantage of will be that wave 4 before we finish off our structure. Okay, but nothing is built up in straight lines. As you know, as you can kind of see, this wave 3 will be comprised of a 5-wave movement, and at the moment we're trying to figure out where that wave 1's going to finish. We're going to have a wave 2, we'll have a big wave 3, 4, and 5. It's possible that we exceed these expectations that I have for Cardano. Okay, it's very, very possible that we do, based on how much of a big move we've seen so far. Okay, so it's looking strong, it's looking good, and I do see opportunities still for better prices, but let's also be very real. We've had ample amounts of time for accumulating. If you're new to the space, then obviously you have an excuse. You haven't been able to kind of pay attention to and accumulate lower than 42 cents. But for anyone who's kind of been around in the bear market trying to time a bottom, it's very unfortunate. But yeah, we're not likely to come down there. Now, I had scoped out this area, which was 30 to 44 cents. That's no longer really valid. Depending on how high this goes, that retracement is going to be very, very different. Let's hypothetically say we do make it to $1.35. Okay, and then we come down to our 27-cent low. Our retracement could come down probably more closely towards 50 cent. In that regard, as the worst case, like most bearish case scenario that I would have on it, with a kind of more reasonable expectation to be somewhere around 84 cents. Okay, so there is still opportunities, but like I say, I'm not expecting massive cooling off to happen here for ADA. I think I need that on there, do I? No, I don't think I can get rid of that. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Actually, I do want that on there because very interesting structures here. If I actually delete that off the chart for a second here, and we measure that distance again from the high of our wave 5 to the low. So basically the 10th of June 2023 to the 14th of March 2024. Measure that distance. Move this over to our 27, what is that exactly? 27.56. Okay, so 27.56. I'm going to go ahead and just try and move that to 56. There we go. This shows us with a clear target of 227. If this price rallies up to 227, that there is going to signal a very, very big bullish case for the $5 to $12. Okay, so for Cardano, everything is tracking very nicely. We're in really good space. We know exactly what we're looking for. The 227 is a previous test of the previous all-time high, and we need to get there in a 5-wave fashion. We're in the wave 3 at the moment, right? And I think this is wave 3 of wave 1, by the way. Okay, so we're not in, I'd say wave 3, right? We're in this wave 3, but I think we're in a wave 1 of that wave 3. This is where it gets complicated. I apologize. This is why I put together the whole course, right? I think a wave 1, a wave 2, something like this is going to be absolutely insane, okay, but we'll basically solidify our position, a correction, and then a push to the upside, right? So we get into that range there. We then cool off, and then we have another 5-wave move to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is why I say it's possible that we maybe overextend above the $12 level. But, it's a long journey, right? We're only just beginning here, right? It's just starting out on this journey to the upside. And 227.21, so $2.27.21 cents is the key area that if ADA can hit it, is going to be a fantastic thing. Now, it doesn't matter about us correcting during this. That's fine. We can correct as long as we hit this level within a 5-wave pattern. We are golden, right? We are in a very, very strong position. So for Cardano, everything is tracking nicely. I do see Cardano kind of playing out just as we've kind of been talking about for a while, and yeah, we are looking for 227 to kind of finish off our structures. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful for you guys. If you have found it useful, informative, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and guys, if you haven't done so already, check that video out right there. It's not one that you want to miss.